Wow, hello everyone. My name is Trisha Williams, and I'm the Managing Partner and Client Success Leader here at Geekspeak Commerce. And we are absolutely thrilled to have you join us for our fourth annual Hack for Good event. You know, this is a really important event for us here at Geekspeak. We see this as a truly unique opportunity for us to bring some super smart people together to solve some of the world's most pressing problems in a ridiculously short period of time. And we know that's a huge ask, but what we've learned is that people can do incredibly impressive things in a short period of time. I do want to commend all of you for registering for Body Hack. I mean, you could be binge watching Grey's Anatomy or something like that, but instead, you've committed 30 hours of your personal time to focus on finding solutions to problems bigger than yourself. This pandemic has highlighted like never before how much we need each other to thrive. So I am truly excited to see what our teams come up with. And just like in previous years, I know I will be amazed by your insight, creativity, and innovation. In exchange for your time, we hope that you're able to broaden your network, learn a few tips from our experts, make some friends, and of course, have some fun. And at the end of it, wouldn't it be truly amazing to be able to stand back and see your idea turned into a concept and then shaped into a prototype, which just might make a difference in the world. Plus, to win a competition with all the bragging rights and a $2,500 prize would be pretty nice too. Okay, so I've got to take you through quite a few hackathon details. Since we're virtual this year, I want to take some time to call out a few things on this hop-in platform. First off, our event chat is on the right-hand side of your screen. I know many of you have already found it, so thank you so much for interacting. Please do say hello and let us know where you're joining us from. We would love to have the event be as engaging as possible. And you know, the cool thing about going virtual this year is that we've been able to get participants from across Canada, and we've actually had interest from around the world. So I do want to call out that the event chat will be monitored throughout the event. So if you have a question, a Geekspeak volunteer will respond as soon as possible. And you can easily spot our Geekspeak volunteers with the red logo. We have a small army on right now. So volunteers, please say hello in the chat. If you do have a question or concern that is specific to just you or your team, please ask a volunteer to direct message you for follow-up. And whoever's on shift at that time will get back to you as soon as possible. So when you first signed into the event, you would have joined us in the reception area. You can essentially consider this our homepage. The reception area is where you'll find our general info. And most importantly, this is where you'll find the event schedule, just so you know exactly what we have planned throughout the 30-hour period. So you're going to want to pay close attention to the schedule, as there are specific times that we'll be broadcasting from this stage. And there aren't any notifications to alert you of this. So if you look at your left-hand nav, you'll notice that we also have an expo area. This is where you can find out more information about our awesome sponsors. So please connect with them via chat or direct message. They'd love to hear from you. Okay, so let's talk about your teams. Each of your teams has been assigned a session, which is your designated private meeting room. You will only see and have access to your team session. And this is where you'll have the ability to communicate via video chat throughout the event. You'll be collaborating with your team in your private session throughout the event. And we'll also have mentors dropping in during their scheduled blocks of time to check in on your progress, but also to offer support, as well as act as a sounding board if you need it. And of course, you're seeing me live on stage right now. So if there's anything that we've learned from 12 months of virtual events, it's pre-record as much as possible. So we do have recordings of our speakers, which will be broadcast from our stage, but many of them are in attendance today, so please do interact with them in the chat. I know that they're in the crowd somewhere. So speaking of the stage, each team will get their opportunity to present their prototype live on stage. And as a note, we are currently live streaming on YouTube and Facebook. And we will also live stream your team presentations tomorrow evening. So if you have friends and family who are interested in watching the presentations, please share the links available in the reception area. All right. And we do encourage you to leave the main event chat open as much as possible to get any updates, but also so you can interact with each other. All right, so that's Hopin. And I have a feeling because we've got all these coders, you guys have figured all of this stuff out already, but I had to go through it. So those of you who are familiar with Hack for Good from prior years know that we usually shut things down for a few days here in the office and we clear out all of our gear. And we basically invite perfect strangers into our space. And some of you may also know that Body Hack was supposed to happen last year on March 13th and 14th. And we ended up having to make the very difficult decision to postpone the event due to COVID-19 concerns. We actually made that call less than 12 hours before the event. And you may recall, this happened to be the time when major events had just started being postponed or canceled. And I vividly remember the NBA announcing that they would be suspending the season on March 12th, which at the time seemed absolutely incredible. So while it was a really difficult decision for us to postpone Body Hack at the time, as you can see from last year's event, it was definitely the right call to make. So here we are, 1 year later, finally kicking things off for Body Hack. And our theme of disrupting healthcare with the use of technology couldn't be any more topical. With that said, I would like to say a huge thank you to all of our sponsors for sticking with us. Staples Canada, TD Canada Trust, 360 Insights, the Town of Whitby, Spark Center, Durham College, Invest Durham, SourcePoint, and 1855. All right, at this point, I'd like to introduce you to someone who's actually right here with me in person. I just need to make way for him. It's the founder and chief strategist of GeekSpeak Commerce, Isaac Wanzama. Isaac?
Right. Let's do it. Oops. Awesome. Thanks, Trish. Hopefully everybody's ready. Thank you so much. My name is Isaac Wanzama. I'm the founder and chief strategist at GeekSpeak Commerce, and I'm so happy that this actually came to fruition. We've been working on this since November, and I just want to welcome you back again for another great event. There's nothing more inspiring than to see the number of participants coming in from across Canada, across the country, the sponsors, speakers, mentors, and community partners that have committed to this event for almost 4 years, right from the beginning. So happy to see that. And yes, as Tricia has mentioned, this year's a little bit different, no doubt about that. But the spirit to me and to everybody who's here at GeekSpeak really remains the same. We like to see the spirit of innovation has always driven Hack for Good right from the start. And we know that this year is going to be stronger than ever. Hack for Good has always been about pushing boundaries. We have tasked you, the participants, to tackle so many challenges over the years, from climate change to food shortages to education to community engagement and so much more. And one thing I could say, and proudly so, is that your drive to innovate has always come through with ideas that can only be, as creative as they are from the collaboration that you all put together. And more importantly, I think the desire to really change the world. And to me, this is really the essence of Hack for Good. So this year has been a different one, but it's no different. And the challenges we're all facing as a global community couldn't be bigger, and the need for ideas and for innovations couldn't be more important. I'm here, you're here, we're all here because we want to do something about it. We thank you for taking up the challenge, so let's do something about it. I would like to also introduce something new this year at the event, some hardware. This is the Hack for Good Innovation Cup, and it will be awarded as a token to the team that wins the event this year. And also, we do want to take a note to shout out the teams that have won this in the past. So I'll zoom in there, and if any of you in the audience, you would recognize your names. Thank you for the entire GeekSpeak team. I want to take time out to personally thank everybody that's been involved in this. An event like this takes a lot of effort, even virtually, believe it or not. To Trisha, to you, and the rest of your team, this has been phenomenal. I think for our participants, a really great event yet to come. Specific shout out to Suzanne, who has shown a lot of leadership in pulling this together and wrangling everybody together, including myself. Megan and Cassia and the entire GS team for volunteering and taking time out of your day with everything else we have to do to make sure that we put on a great event for our participants. I would like to thank that community sponsors as well. When we decided we weren't going to do this last year, we weren't sure what was going to happen for the event or to Hack for Good. But the community sponsors and supporters recognize the importance of this event, not only to us, but to the community. So I want to thank you, Invest Durham, the town of Whitby, Durham College, as Trish may have highlighted, for believing in the importance of Hack for Good. So today we do have a representative of the larger community, the Mayor of Whitby, Mayor Don Mitchell. I do want to thank you, Mayor Mitchell, not only for the leadership in the community of Whitby, but also in Durham broadly, for your support, but also more importantly for recognizing the important role that we all play and should play in making change that matters in the world. So with that, I do want to say thank you and want to welcome the Mayor to say a few words.
Hello, I'm Don Mitchell, the Mayor of Whitby, and I thank you for the chance to bring the best wishes of my council to this hackathon. Whitby Council understands that technology and innovation are the future of local jobs and prosperity. And so we've focused on supporting innovation by building an innovation district in and around downtown Whitby, part of which includes our 1855 accelerator, which is Durham Region's first. And that accelerator has exceeded expectations to the extent that we are now renovating another building to add some landing space. I believe that success is because we understand that startup communities must be led by entrepreneurs, by proven tech leaders. And we are so fortunate to have great leaders like Isaac Wanzama in Whitby. To the participants here today, thank you. A virtual welcome to Whitby this year, but next year for sure, a real welcome. Enjoy and connect. And to our many sponsors, this is important and it could not happen without you. So thank you all and have a great hackathon.
Thank you, Isaac, and thank you, Mayor Mitchell, for your continued support of Hack for Good. And thank you for wearing your Geek Speak t-shirt. Okay, it's now my pleasure to introduce you to our keynote speaker. Dr. Ilan Lenga is Chief Information Officer and the Chief Medical Information Officer at Lakeridge Health Hospital. He has a passion for medical information management and technology, promoting standardized care, and improving data quality. And he has a hobby in computer programming and has written and developed healthcare-related computer and mobile apps. He is a practicing nephrologist at Lakeridge Hospital, a lecturer at the University of Toronto, and an adjunct assistant professor at Queen's University. His nephrology clinical practice is focused on chronic kidney disease and dialysis. Dr. Ilan Lenga, everyone.
Hello, everyone. It's my pleasure to welcome all of you to the Hack for Good Body Hack Hackathon. I'm Ilan Lenga, the Chief Information Officer at Lakeridge Health. I'm a doctor by training, and while I still practice clinical medicine, most of my work these days is focused on innovation in healthcare IT. Most of my training has been in medicine, but I've been an amateur hacker since I was 5 years old. My first computer was the Texas Instruments TI-99, a computer that ran at only 3 megahertz and had only 16 kilobytes of RAM. It didn't take long for me to outgrow that because it didn't really run any games. And so I quickly moved on to the VIC-20 and the Commodore 64, which you might have heard of. But I was probably the first kid in Toronto who had an original IBM PC running off dual 256K floppy drives and with 640 kilobytes of RAM and running at a whopping 4.77 megahertz. It cost as much as a car and had much less processing power than my Apple Watch, but I was hooked. And I used it to run my first bulletin board system, or BBS. That's what we used to call websites before the internet. And well, IT has been a part of my life ever since. A year ago, when this hackathon was first conceived, no one could have predicted that we would enter the most challenging year for healthcare in a century. Flattening the curve of this infectious disease has been an incalculable strain on all sectors of society, and the healthcare system in particular. But it's also been the greatest opportunity for healthcare IT to show its value and its vital role in maintaining access and provision of care in a safe and an efficient and a cost-effective manner. Really, healthcare delivery has transformed overnight. Providers and patients have embraced virtual care, remote monitoring, and new models of care. And the typically conservative approach to health IT innovation has necessarily been abandoned, and opportunities to impact the care of patients has never been so apparent and so important. My talk today is about IT innovation. As a healthcare leader, I've given a lot of talks over the years. I've addressed physicians, other healthcare providers, health quality and safety leaders, and health policy leaders. I also often address the IT team at Lakeridge Health, but I've never formally addressed a group of coders before. So I thought that it would be important for me to make sure that I speak your language and ensure that my talk resonates with you. So I have 5 key messages to share today, and as you'll see, my slides are written in Python. Let me start by perhaps stating the obvious. Coding is not the same as innovating. Many of you have been honing your skills at coding and learning best practices to develop clean, efficient, and elegant code. And that's critically important and is necessary, but insufficient to be innovative coders. Innovation is all about solving problems creatively. Coding is a skill, innovation is an art form. When people think of innovation, our minds naturally turn to discovering something new or creating a brand new invention. I submit to you that that's a pretty limited definition, and while it's the most dramatic form of innovation, it's also the least frequent. So let me expand the meaning of innovation to encompass all of its forms. Sure, there's discovery and invention, but much more commonly, innovation will take the form of how you implement your ideas to a particular solution. Innovation can also be in how you execute your solution, its design, integration, or its UI. And lastly, innovation often takes the form of iteration, gradual improvement and refinement of a solution to realize its full potential. All of these are innovation, and all of them can satisfy our inherent desire to be creative and to solve real problems. To be a truly innovative coder, you will end up relying far more on your emotional quotient than on your intelligent quotient. Now, don't get me wrong, you need to be smart, and I assume all of you are very smart. But unless you're planning on building computational models for theoretical physics or advancing quantum computing, your IQ won't be your defining characteristic. Instead, deeply understanding the problems you're trying to solve, the needs of your users, and the priorities of your clients will distinguish you as an innovator rather than a programmer. So let me give you some examples from a dictionary of challenges that we recently tackled at Lakeridge Health. So one of our corporate priorities was to improve the emergency room waiting experience in the waiting room. And for this, we used an invention. We developed, along with the AI lab at Durham College, an AI system to provide individual wait times to patients in the waiting room. Providing an average wait time for patients is next to useless, and in fact has so much variability against what their actual waiting time would be, that it's more frustrating than helpful. We instead deeply understood what our patients need, and that is to have some sense of how long it's going to be before they're seen by a physician. Giving them that information without actually making it any shorter gives them the opportunity to plan and psychologically prepare for the wait that they have in our waiting rooms. And that has led to a significant improvement in patient experience. Another area we tackled is that we have a difference in the access to specialists at the different sites of our hospital. And we didn't solve this by inventing anything. We solved it by executing on existing virtual care platforms to improve the experience of how clinicians can do consultations between sites and actually interact with a patient in a more meaningful way. Recently, we've been tasked with scheduling thousands of vaccinations a day as vaccinations have rolled out in Durham region over the last couple of months. We had to build a scheduling system very rapidly to be able to manage this. But again, we took the approach of understanding what users on the provider side and patients would need. Right now in Ontario, we are the only platform that lets patients rebook a vaccination because we took the approach of trying to understand what patients would need. Imagine that. No other platform lets patients rebook appointments. They can only cancel them. See, it's not that hard to find opportunities to innovate. And lastly, we used iteration to address our virtual ward, which we've rolled out in the last year. And we have moved through different areas of the surgical department, first in thoracic surgery, then to orthopedic surgery, and now into gynae oncological surgery. And we will keep iterating and keep improving on that virtual ward and expanding it further. And I can assure you, both patients and doctors see that as significant innovation. For us, the key in developing these products and solutions was to focus on the key parameters of knowing the problem we were solving and the outcome we desired. Too many coders focus on the requirements. While these are good for project management, you want to deeply understand the problem and the outcome. When you work on your project over the next 30 hours, continue to iterate on your solution with these in mind. In this way, you'll free yourself to think creatively and be nimble in your development. As long as there are problems in healthcare, there is a need for healthcare IT to be part of the solution. And the good news for young, budding IT innovators is that there is an infinite number of problems and therefore an infinite need for solutions. Hopefully, you'll be inspired to find some of those through today's event. Good luck today as you begin your hack for good. The opportunities at the intersection of healthcare and technology are vast, and we are really only starting to embrace that potential. I hope today's event is motivating and exciting and gives you the opportunity to consider the impact you can make in the lives of the people of your community and beyond. Thanks and have fun.
Thank you so much, Dr. Lenga. We really appreciate your time. And that was super impressive. I don't know if anybody expected that to happen, but we just saw a medical doctor doing a presentation written in Python. Impressive for sure. So Dr. Lenga actually shared a lot of great information in his presentation, but a huge takeaway for me personally was, and hopefully for you as well, was the importance of the emotional quotient, right? Which requires a deep understanding of the problem you're trying to solve and the needs and priorities of your users. Next up, what I'd like to do is let you know who our judges are. First, we have Mark Witzel, who is an industrial technology advisor at the National Research Council of Canada, Industrial Research Assistance Program, or NRC IRAP. We also have Tim Pauly, who is the Director of Research and Academics at Ontario Shore Centre for Mental Health Sciences. Followed by Jeffrey Potvin, who is the founder of GP Supporters Fund, OPN, and CEO of Hardboot. And Jeff has a 4-year streak going. He's been involved in all 4 Hack for Good events in a variety of roles. This year, we have him as a judge. And our fourth judge is none other than Isaac Wanzama, the founder and chief strategist at Geek Speak Commerce. You know, this panel of judges brings together years of experience in health, science, technology, and business. And I think it's fair to say they've heard a few pitches over the years. So we're really excited to have them join us. All right, switching gears a bit here. So each of you were sent a copy of our participant guide and code of conduct via email. Please take a moment to review them if you haven't already done so. You can also find links to these files in the reception area. Just about everything you need to know about the event is contained in those documents. All right. So I also want to emphasize that Body Hack is intended to be a fun, positive, and inclusive event. So basically, we only want good vibes, please. So if the comments in the event chat don't pass the vibe check, we may have some problems. So since teams will be off in their private sessions, we would love it if you could post, share, or like Body Hack related content on your social channels, just so we can see signs of life throughout the night. Be sure to use our official hashtag, which is hashtag Body Hack, and be sure to tag our GeekSpeak handles, which are on screen. The person with the most engagement, meaning posts, shares, or likes, will be rewarded with a pretty awesome prize pack. All right, so we're getting close to the start of the competition, so I've got to give you a bit of a rundown. All right, hacking will begin immediately after this live presentation. You'll be working within your teams to create a software or hardware prototype that tackles a healthcare issue of your choosing. Your team collaboration will take place in your designated team session on the Hopin platform. So to prepare for your presentation, you'll be given the opportunity to test your connection to StreamYard, which is the app that will be used to broadcast your presentation. And practice runs will start on Saturday at 12 p.m. Eastern. We'll provide more details on the timing of these practice runs this evening once all of our teams have settled in. Your presentation does not need to be completely finalized at this point. Okay, this is just a practice run through. And at 4 p.m. Eastern on Saturday, March 27th, all hacking will stop. Team presentations will begin at 4:15 p.m. Eastern on Saturday, March 27th. Team numbers were assigned randomly, and so we will have teams present in order based on their number. So the first team to present will be lucky team number 1, surprise team number 1, followed by team 2, then team 3, and so on. Each team must have at least 1 team member and a max of 4 team members to present your concept and prototype. Given the short period of time, we recommend 1 to 2 speakers. As a note, you'll be able to share your screen during your presentation. Your presentation will take place on the event stage, where I am right now, and must not exceed 5 minutes. And finally, once your presentation has wrapped, our 4 judges will join you on stage to ask 1 to 2 questions. So don't be surprised when they pop up on screen. All right, so that's the rundown. Next up is our final presenter. And you may want to take some notes during this one because it's packed with useful tips. Durham College is lucky to have him. Next up is Chris Daniel, Professor of Mechanical Engineering. Over to you, Chris.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to this amazing event where we all get to collaborate with dynamic, goal-oriented people and discuss inspiring ideas. Solving design challenges is an exciting part of my, and likely many of your, professional lives. And fortunately, we don't have to look very far to be inspired by some extraordinary achievements and disruptive technologies that have been developing across multiple industries, including, of course, today's competition theme, healthcare. However, before you start on your design journey, I'd like to highlight 4 topics that you might want to keep in mind along the way. It might seem obvious, but remember to always work as a team. If you happen to view yourself as a brainstormer, researcher, problem solver, software developer, or a team manager, that's great. Successful teams need all of these skills in order to be effective. Although some of our teams have the benefit of already knowing their members very well, some of you don't. So make sure to take the time to develop an appreciation for the breadth of skills that your group possesses right at the beginning. In addition, although many of us have spent far more time on Zoom these days than we might like to, we haven't necessarily done it in a competitive, collaborative environment. So be aware of the differences and make sure that you manage yourselves in a way that ensures that everyone will have an equal opportunity to voice their thoughts. If you're a person who gets super excited about a great idea, especially if it's yours, that's great. However, remember not to fall in love with it too quickly because everyone else is likely going to develop a bunch of them as well. So remember to really listen carefully and be open to other concepts because you will need everyone's input in order to successfully execute the design process required to develop a simple and effective solution to whichever need you've collectively identified. The next point to keep in mind, of course, is manage your time wisely. Although solving design challenges can be very exciting, it takes a lot of work, which usually means a lot of time. So, use your project management skills in this design sprint to set time goals and work efficiently in order to quickly make decisions because it will definitely pass quickly. Reduce complexity wherever you can and remember to aim for a complete hack, not a perfect one. In addition, you only get 10 minutes with each mentor, so plan for it and be prepared to describe your hack quickly so you can maximize the time available to obtain their feedback. A quick answer or a piece of advice from an expert might save you tons of research time by eliminating a perceived dead end or navigating you around a roadblock that you might not have even considered yet. In addition, please don't be blinded by mentor titles. Many of us have tons of experience far beyond the title's description itself that might help you immensely. Oh, and please don't feel obliged to act on our advice either. It's offered freely to aid you, not restrain you. So use it as you see best. My third point is don't lose sight of the goal. For some of you, this might be your very first hackathon or design challenge experience. And for others, it might be one in a long list of events. So, whether you're new to the design process or have been doing this for a long time, it's important to keep one major thing in mind. Once your team has finished brainstorming, researching, and deciding on which unmet need in the healthcare industry it is that you're going to tackle, be sure to stay on track. We all have a tendency to focus on aspects of things that we enjoy the most. So if your product needs 4 key items to be developed, don't spend all of your time on only the 3 that happen to align with your team's emotional interest or skill sets. That 4th one, it'll take you down. Instead, make sure to quickly identify which items might be in your neglected or ignorant area, and be sure to set out time for working on it and to seek out support from your mentors. In addition, if you find that your team is consistently deviating from whatever path you chose, then consider regrouping and redefining the need that you've set out to address. Remember to ensure a winning product never lose sight of meeting the customer, client, or patient's needs. However, since this is a competition and the customers aren't actually present, then who's acting on their behalf? The judges. So, in this case, make sure to repeatedly review the 5 judging criteria at the beginning and throughout your development milestones to ensure that you never lose sight of the major evaluation categories. So let's quickly review them. Impact. Does the product create value by satisfying a need or fixing an existing issue? Innovation. Does it provide a new and unique solution to the problem? Alignment. Is it relevant to the healthcare theme of this event? Experience. Would the customer enjoy using it because it's intuitive and pleasing? And presentation. Was the customer the need and how your prototype met that need clearly and concisely conveyed? Finally, let's take a moment and envision tomorrow night. You're mentally exhausted, you've had too much coffee, and you've been going for 30 hours straight. And now you have to stop developing and cram everything you've learned and created into a succinct 5-minute presentation. However, before doing so, remember that your goal is to clearly describe the following. What's the problem you want to address? What current solutions already exist? What's your solution? What makes it different and better than the existing solutions? And how will it be created and implemented? And while you're doing all this, try to simultaneously highlight how you've successfully achieved all 5 of the judging criteria as well. So, I hope you all had a great sleep last night, because we only have a little more time before the stopwatch begins. Being creative and brainstorming ideas is exciting, exhausting, and emotional. So be sure to take periodic breaks and collect your thoughts, surround yourself with tasty snacks, polish your webcam's lens, and have an amazing time, because now it's your turn to be inspired and to inspire us by showing that your team deserves the $2,500 prize for having developed the best functional solution to an important problem that you've identified within our healthcare industry. Good luck.
Thank you so much, Chris. That was amazing. I told you Durham College was lucky to have him. I don't know about you guys, but I'm feeling really inspired and I'm ready to get the hacking started. So teams, we're actually, getting through this pretty soon, so we're ahead of time. Teams, you're going to want to head over to your sessions because hacking starts now. Good luck, everybody, and see you soon.